Well, basically, I don't know if I can answer any of those questions that she just raised. So let me just preface it with that. We just made an election map. I think that underlying there are sort of three basic concepts underlying that map. Each of them have been a challenge in their own way, but also opened up some opportunities that I don't think we would have been able to tackle in a different kind of format. The first was the idea of collaboration. Public media, for everyone in this room, I'm sure, who works in public media, is both highly collaborative and highly siloed off. And so over the many years that I've worked in public broadcasting, and I'm kind of public middle-age media, I'm new media coming out of the old media broadcast world, so I don't know what that makes me. But the idea was that from the outset, we wanted to create a single public broadcasting map for the elections. So rather than have NPR, the NewsHour, individual producers within public broadcasting generating some kind of election map, the idea was to aggregate that and then to turn that aggregated spot into a powerful promotional device and editorial delivery system. So that map is the result of literally dozens of meetings and hours of conversation between NewsHour and NPR primarily, but also with substantive contribution from local producers across the state, across the nation, as well as individual independent producers. So the idea was, once we created a single entry point into the vast array of public media, how do we then turn that into the sort of second segment, which was the geographic power of public broadcasting. Now, I'm going to talk about public broadcasting. I'm really talking about public media, but I need to kind of focus because public media scares me as a term because it's so big. So public broadcasting is made up of hundreds of local stations, thousands of local producers, and dozens of national productions, all of them working every day to get their program on the air, oftentimes not telling anyone else what they're doing. They're simply putting it on the air and it goes out and it's gone. We wanted to capture all of that content and funnel it someplace so that one of the ideas that I think is really powerful when it comes to mapping as an editorial concept is that of exploration, that you're not trapped into what was the latest story from the NewsHour, what was the most recently updated RSS feed from American Public Media. Instead, you have this ability to wander and explore and find out, in this election season, there's a lot of interest, especially in the primaries. All of a sudden, you really cared about, Lake County, Indiana, and well, at least for a night, and that ability to find out information about Lake County, Indiana, not from me sitting in Washington, D.C., but from the local public broadcaster, is an incredibly powerful model, and it's the thing. I don't know if any of our commercial colleagues are out there, but it's the thing that I feel like I can totally pound into the other competitors. The New York Times can have an awesome map, but they can't have local reporters in every area of the country telling us what's really going on and what's really important to a community. So that map, for me, is actually a portal into all the local programs that exist out in public broadcasting. And it's organized by state. It's also organized by race. Presidential, Senate, congressional, gubernatorial. And then underneath it is a layer of data. So if you click on a state, you can pick any state, and then you click on learn more about Texas. One of the things that we didn't achieve quite as well as we wanted to, but we're working on it, is the idea of a layer of data visualization on top of the map that really starts to put into context the voters in these states. And so we delved into a lot of data and funneled it into this map as well. I think we could do it in a better visual way, but the idea was to allow people to explore and learn more about the different parts of the country. Okay, I have 1 minute. And so the final component of the map is this idea of it being highly iterative and actually starting to inject just a tiny bit of fun. So, which is hard for us as public broadcasters to think about. I'm sorry, no, it's 13 years. So if you click on the President tab, it's this idea of you predict down in the bottom corner. This is the latest part of the map, which allows you to figure out, how are different states going to affect it. Well, that's great, and it's a good game, and we actually did it in 2004. The idea now, though, is to use that also as a portal to content, to really understand in a more nuanced, locally produced way what is going on in these individual states and how might it affect the presidential race. We'll be doing other versions for the Senate and the governor's races, but it's only a start, but it has been an incredibly powerful model, I think, going forward to really leverage local and national and do it, obviously, in the most obvious way to do it, which is the map.